topic is, where are you missing the mark? As the industry continues to evolve through a wave of technology and people changes, event managers and suppliers are challenged to meet the needs of the exhibitor and the attendees. This topic is not a judgment of an event supplier, but an education on how we can all get on board to create programs, technologies, and services that will make us all improve in our positions. I'm going to introduce our moderator and participants, and then he can introduce his panelists. Jim Wolfkuhl is Vice President of Sales and Marketing for IWF Atlanta. He's been involved in the trade show industry since 1992, and he's produced shows in the following areas: farm, printing, digital technology, computing, healthcare, audiovisual, woodworking, of course, and more. He currently serves on our board and has served as on the Experience Customer Advisory Board. Jim is currently the Sponsorship and Education Committee Chair for our chapter and has done an amazing job. He has produced one of the top 50 trade shows in our industry. He's also stepped outside the box and has analyzed the industry to create a format for B2B, business to business, as well as business to consumer online. Jim has done operations, sales, and marketing for some of the biggest groups in the industry. And he has served on our educational panels, and he has moderated panels prior for us for our chapter. So please welcome Jim.
Are we turned on? Okay, we turned on. We have Jimmy Mouton with us as well. He's the CEO of Nuremberg Messe. I think he's been on the supplier side with the Norman CBB. He started shows, and Jimmy, why don't you add a little couple minutes to your background?
Sure. I think a lot of us all know each other here. We've been doing this a long. Worked at the Congress Center here in Atlanta. Worked at Shepherd Expo. Worked in the hotel side. Moved into show management back in the early 2000s. Worked with United Business Media, CNP. Had a stint with West Frankfurt, and launched my own company, a disaster trade show that we ended up eventually selling to New Orleans. And I went to the convention center there, and we started a department that would run shows that the convention center would own in-house. And 2 years later, I was offered the opportunity to take over at Nuremberg Messe North America, which is where I am now. Very good.
Then we have Charlie Longtime, which Charlie was the title before you said you were going to retire and didn't really quite do it. Was VP of sales or show management. And then he started his own company. Charlie also has a publishing background for in the poultry and egg industry, right? With Watt Publishing before he joined. I keep calling it poultry and egg. I know it's got a new name. That's stuck in my mind as to where it's going to be, and that's why we have chicken today. So, Charlie, go ahead and add anything to it.
Well, basically, I worked 25 years in the publishing business with agriculturally related products. I was a publisher of a group of poultry magazines, and then 12 years ago, came to Atlanta for the U.S. Poultry and Egg Association, took over management of their trade show. And then about 3 weeks ago, they shipped me off, and I'm on my own now.
So if anybody's looking for any consultants, he'll also remove garbage. So, any type of dollar he can earn right now. The one thing is, when we came up with this educational session, I want everybody to know out here that as a supplier, we're not here to take any shots at any of the way you currently do things. We're just going to talk a little bit about where we're missing the mark and where some things could be improved from the meeting planner side. And maybe some of those things will lead to ideas that could help these suppliers provide better services or products to planners. We're also going to probably open up at a certain point to some of you that are not on the panel that are obviously in the industry and get some of your questions and thoughts as well. One of the first things that we all talked about this yesterday, to me one of the more frustrating things is I have to log into how many different vehicles to, if I'm an exhibitor, and this is what the exhibitors are, and even though we're planners, we still exhibit on the trade shows. I got to log into the decorator login, and I have to go into the Congress Center, in our case, or I have to go into other ones. So Charlie, why don't you add to that with some of your thoughts?
Well, I look at our customers, the exhibitor first, as trying to make it as easy for them as possible. And for the very large exhibitors, you know, they're probably dealing with an EAC, an exhibitor appointed contractor, who's doing everything from soups to nuts. Most of the people that are doing the smaller booths are either an administrative assistant or a salesman that got the short straw and really don't have much experience in coordinating the trade.
Or they're a marketing guy like me that doesn't know how to fill out anything.
Well, and as we were talking, first of all, I brought a copy of our exhibitor manual. Well, we have a hard enough time getting people to read their emails, let alone an exhibitor manual. And I think it behooves all of us, the show managers and the various suppliers, to get together and try to make the experience a lot more seamless and interesting. For example, for the IPPE show, the forms, individual forms with various vendors. You got GWCC for utilities, CCLD for phone and internet, GWCC for electric, plumbing, and gas, Levy for F&B, floral, refrigeration, AV, registration, housing, and show organizer listings like the product directory. And it tends to be a little intimidating. And especially if you're in it, about a third of the IPBE exhibitors are international. Well, you throw in English as a second language, and it really gets difficult.
You know, I think Mark Adams is here, and I think Frank is here. As far as some of our vendors, I think I asked this question. I can't remember if I got the exact answer. And Cobb Gallery and GICC can think about this as well. But this is my question for you, Charlie. We're in Atlanta every 2 years doing the woodworking show. So a lot of our exhibitors are somewhat near the same spot that they were 2 years ago, give or take. So one of the things that I asked at the GWCC, and Adams, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but got it early. But what I asked is if I exhibited in the last IWF, or in your case, your last show, or Jimmy, your last show. If I'm not moving around, or even maybe if I am, if I'm through the decorator side of it, why can I just not go in there and just hit update? You know, it shows me all my previous order history, my inventory, what I've done in the past, and I don't have to restart it, redo it, reboot it. And even if the person that did it in the past, like for me, I'm trying to get rid of all the, I don't want to order, you know, when we have a booth out of it, when we have a booth at certain shows, I really hate doing that paperwork, and I'd rather give it to someone else. But that way they can go in there and they know what I did in the past, and just hit it and update your credit card and done. So, do you guys, have you asked about that ability, either one of you guys, or is there anyone that allows you to do that?
From an interesting perspective, when we had made our sale to move our show, the disaster show to New Orleans, one of the features that was attractive was the idea that as a convention center, a lot of features that are usually handled by vendors could be brought in under one roof, making it easier for us as show management to put a show together. An example, we didn't have to put out RFPs for security. We didn't have to find AV vendors. All that was in-house. We had security, we had audio visual. The only places we really had to focus on our side was really just the general service contractor and registration. Everything else pretty much handled in-house. And when we started thinking about the way that the orders are put across to the exhibitors, we were trying to find a way that the facility could use their system for their regular orders, like electrical order, whatever it might be, but also be able to handle that system for orders that would go pass through them to the general service contractor. Just trying to find a way to make that work. And it was really difficult because it seemed like people just, our main vendors didn't want to give up that piece of, that much control over that piece of what they did. And they felt like by having one system handle all of these different services for the exhibitor, that they would somehow lose control over what they were trying to do. So you think about what we have now, the technology that's available. All of us who went to Iaee, like in Baltimore, I remember getting a message on my phone from the Hilton telling me I didn't even have to go to registration. I could use my phone, walk up to my door, put my phone against my door opens. Never had to worry about going through registration at the hotel, making my life easier. Well, you think of all the services that we have that our exhibitors do. There's got to be a way to present technology to allow an exhibitor to be able to have all their forms in their app, to order their stuff through their app, or to be able to pay on their app in one spot for them that automatically goes to the different vendors providing those services. Those are thoughts that we as an industry start discussing and figuring out what to do. We can make life a lot easier for the exhibitors coming to our show, and even make it easier on the vendors supporting the show.
Now, I know Iaee, the catering company for the Georgia World Congress Center, I don't know if they introduced it, May, for your last show, the catering app. That's something they're working on. We talked a little bit before lunch. These exhibitors really hate to leave before, so they got to go out to get a bleed retrieval, or they got to go check on their shipping drainage. I know Freeman has advanced quite a bit, to my understanding. We're not a Freeman client, so I'm still propping them up here. But they advanced quite a bit so that you know that the machine is on the truck, and you kind of have an expected delivery time. Is that right, Jeff? Freeman kind of tracks the whole process.
Once it checks into the Marshall mark on our app that says it's checked in, and then once it goes from the dock to the booth,
But it probably never tells them if it's damaged, right?
They never have been.
because we never damage it.
I mean, we're all moving towards everything. Everybody talks about is technology. Everybody wants something with ease of use. So really, it's you really want to be able to order your food and just have it delivered on time to your booth. If you've got a bunch of people there, or if you're working on your booth, you don't necessarily want to leave it. I'm going to throw a little question at you. It's about technology as well. In our case, in a lot of people's cases, you have how many app companies that are out there? Then you have the Underbox, and you have the A to Z, and you have the Map to Show. And if anybody's out there from one of those companies and I forgot you, I apologize. But we find frustrating as well is, we've used back to Beating Metrics, and we use A to Z, and we use Map to Show, but we didn't really like their app features. So we're using, we're taking the Map to Show, and then we're using a different company that has better features. But what we did is instead of using an existing system that was out there, we chose an app and we created the features for that company. We said these are all the benefits that we want. Now, we think long term that's going to benefit us as well, but we're actually looking at it, tweaking it some more to the point where that app can handle the back-end financials and some of the other things that Map to Show does. And A to Z. Have you guys looked at any scenarios where you looked at your supply chain that's out there, and instead of actually using the existing bricks and mortar that product is, have you went to them and said, every time we try to customize them, it doesn't work for, we try to customize A to Z, and it just got so frustrating. And Map to Show, we try to do some of that. At the end of the day, we said, well, we're spending a lot of money for these companies. They're making a lot of money off of us. We basically said, well, we'll create it. Have you guys looked at scenarios where you're going to invest some of your resources and maybe dollars to create a technology product that you can use?
I think it's interesting because as we were just talking about what the exhibitor goes through in show management, and obviously we deal with the same thing. We're just reviewing this issue. Bill Ingerson, our show manager, he's running the ACS show. On this show, we have just in the house we have our CRM, which is we have A to Z, which we use for our show app and also for our online floor plan. We have Epic doing registration. A number of different vendors we're using, all with different sign-ins, different logins. Well, then we end up having a new person to come work with us, who's actually her birthday today, so Annika, happy birthday. So we have an intern from Germany who came in to work with us, and we realized that we're trying to show her all the different systems we have to log into just to produce our show. So one of the things we looked at recently was what services can provide us all of this in one package. So we met with Underbox. and we started discussing with them what they could create that would meet our needs of online floor plan management, our database, CRM system, how we can tie that into finances, all based on the type of shows we do. A system that would be able to change based on if we're doing a show we're producing, or if we're doing a show that we actually are selling U.S. companies into overseas that have different needs, whether it's a pavilion we're selling. All of these have different needs. Is it possible to find one system that you'd be able to create that would service all of your needs for all your different types of events? They were able to come back with a product that would meet our needs, but it was very pricey. The type of customization that we were asking was extensive. So when I think of that, I'm like, I know the technology's there. We just haven't seen anybody come out with a way for our industry, with a product for our industry to use that's affordable. At least we have.
We talk about big data, and frankly, when you look at the information we gather on hotels and registration and sales, if it all could be put into one singular database, you would have something that was really powerful. I know at U.S. Poultry, we're dealing with 4 different databases, and they talk between each other a little bit, but there's the tweaking that needs to be done, and it's very difficult. The other thing is we've had RFPs where, let's say, the registration company says, "Oh yeah, we can work seamlessly with with a housing company." Well, when the tire hits the road, that isn't the case. And
I think seamless is a relative term.
it is.
How many people out here actually use an app company that is different from their online search tools, such as Map Your Show, Underbot, A to Z? So you're using 2 different vehicles. And the other thing that I think most people find out with the app companies, all of our previous apps that IDF has used before, and we're not paying for this one either, but we're investing our time into it. But it's usually the app that's been free that we've been taking and using that comes with Map Your Show, or came with A to Z, or came with our housing company. And usually they fall short. So how many people are using a free app that comes with the current one? Not many. Now, Brian, I know Emerald and Dan, you're out here. You guys have so many large portfolio of shows. What are you finding out with utilizing these different technology tools between the app and your search, if you're using different ones?
Well, if you don't plan it out properly, you have a disjointed attendee experience. There's nothing more frustrating than I want to go meet with this company, and you do it online, but it doesn't translate to the app experience, or if you put an appointment on the app, it doesn't translate back. So having that seamless connection is critical. Not a lot of them can do it, and there is a very big difference between the free app, as you point out, and the one that's not free. But even the pay-for-play, have limitations at times, so you just have to manage it.
Now, in IDF's case, the technology, we're basically trying to make a 365 app. We don't call it IDF 16, IDF 18. It's just IDF. And we're trying to pull the content in there and use it a little bit different. Leanne had a good question, I think, and it's somewhat related to what we're doing. I'll ask you guys here, what are the elements of the attendee experience that factor into the show of the future? I'm going to state one thing here. I was thinking about that when I read it. The attendee of the future, the show of the future, and I was thinking, is there going to be like raves? Is there going to be, these, what do they call that when they all come together at the central train station? Is there going to be more of that gathering? To me, the younger your show gets, you're going to want more experiences and more takeaways. And I thought about it, reading that question is, when you look at a trade show, you look at it through the view of the website or what your brochure needs to send out, it's kind of sterile, really. You're not really showing that it's much of an experience, much a lot of fun. So, how do you guys, Charlie and Jimmy, and how do you guys see kind of the trade show in the future? I think that social media is going to have a play in it, but I see it more as having a play in it is just to promote the experience while you're on site. I know Brian is doing several different things on his show to increase that experience, but Obviously, mobile technology is going to play in there. And I don't know, I'm not saying that everybody's going to go put their GoPro on their head and walk around and take the, I hope not, because if it's after 7 o'clock, I don't want anybody walking with a GoPro on me. Go ahead.
Well, in general, it's going to vary from industry to industry. And to be quite honest, the agricultural industry tends to be a bunch of Luddites. The adoption rate for our mobile app is 10%. Now, from what I gathered at Iaee, they were talking more like 30 to 40%.
We're about 25.
And, so at this time, you want to keep it in mind, but you got to allocate your resources. And it doesn't make sense to put a lot of money into a mobile app, which nobody will use. Now, you got to keep in mind that the younger generation's coming up, and so social media is going to be a big thing there. But also, a good example of the experience for the attendee. Most of us now are using barcodes and scan and go, and which is great. We used to, if you got your, if you pre-registered early enough, we mailed you your badge. Well, we saw the scan and go technology and said, man, we don't have to do that anymore. We're going to save the mailing cost. Well, if you were at our show this year, you realized that trying to get 30,000 people for a show at the AV connector at GWCC is impossible. And the lines were probably a couple hundred feet long, just for scan and go. So somebody who used the technology to make their experience better actually had something backfire on them. So I think you got to be careful about how you
Do you see the end of the badge?
I'm not sure. I like to be able to go to you and say hi, Jim, and be able to identify you.
I wish I could say the feeling's mutual.
I think that we also think of who is the audience of the future? Who is the future? It's today's millennials. It's the people who are now making that jump. And we've got to think the way it's almost cliche, the way we've always done business is going to always change. And as the old guard moves out, new guards come in, they have new interests. They have what do the millennials and the younger generations use? Technology. Everything they do is in technology. So I think being able to cater to the visitor of the future is going to cater to what their interests are. The apps are going to become more important, but they're going to evolve. They're not going to just be your standard app that you pull up that we have now. It's going to evolve into things that are more interactive. Technology is going to advance to that point.
Jim, even though I am a Luddite, I will say we have, at the IPPE, we had over 600 attendee college students. And we did develop some social media games and activities for them, and it was very successful.
Well, you guys do a great job with your chili cook-off and your, do you still do the wing?
Yeah, hot dog toss this year.
Hot dog? Somebody from Japan in that, I think probably. One of the other questions we have is, well, first I'd like to put this out to Freeman and GS, whoever else is here. From event displays or graphics or things that, like Freeman has Freeman XP, GES, I forget what the division is called out there. What do you guys have? One of you can go to the mic and just kind of add to it. Lee looks like he's ready to speak, but do you have anything that's coming up in the future that
Lee just did a presentation.
from a service industry trend that could be very enlightening to us that are planners and
The question is what the future of graphics is?
Well, what are you guys doing that's trend setting in your business right now?
I mean, I think all of us are moving towards softer graphics, fabric printing, and more lightweight materials. So I think that's what we're seeing, a lot of branding and a lot of fabric kind of stuff.
Are you seeing more video at the shows that you guys are
Through the centers,
more interactive?
Through the centers, we're seeing a lot of videos.
Good.
You had made a comment about is the badge obsolete, and it got me, thinking about, having visited the College Football Hall of Fame, I'd like to offer to you that the badge may not be obsolete, it may be understood as to what it's capable of doing, because if you went through that event or that venue, you would see that there is a constant interactivity that the badge allows, that if you could make that an attendee at a trade show instead of a visitor to a venue, what can happen in that interaction between their badge, which has got the chip in it, and wherever they're going to better facilitate what has to be done. As always, it's all about those functions of time and money. What can the technology do to make the experience of time and money a quality one between both parties?
That's a very good point, because when I went to the College Hall of Fame, that everybody said before you go there, it's really the cool thing about it, because me being an Iowa Hawkeye, you don't win, but once you walk in there, it interacts right away. And the show floor with an interactive badge can be quite powerful.
It's interactive, but it's personal.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Michigan State Spartan, and believe me, when going through there and you get to see those people from the school, you're passionate about, talk to you.
It's a very good point.
But isn't that where the beacon technology is going with the badge?
The beacon technology, I mean, it's moving that way a little bit. I know Experience is coming out with a product that has it embedded in the badge. It's not RFID, they're putting the chip in there. Beacon's still a new process. At our show, David, what is our beacon's about this big that we're putting in the booths, exhibits?
It's about maybe twice as big, a 50-cent coin.
Yeah, and we're talking about putting the beacons in the restaurants too, as people are walking around. But it's all profile driven. So Jack, you had a great point. I think that the badge of the future may be exactly, and if there's any registration company, GS, you guys didn't buy any registration companies this week, did you?
No, we already have one.
You had one?
We already have one.
So, that could be very important. I know badges, we debated, we were even the mail badges this year, he still did. But I think an interactive badge could be very powerful for some shows. I know like Kitchen and Bath, that could be pretty cool as you're walking around and all the designs and features you have there. Woodworking, machines, it could be a little bit different, but there's some cool shows out there that could be working for. Any thoughts on that?
I know that, Bill, you and I, we had met with the AV provider, I guess it was a specialty provider that would have things like holograms that would pop up in a booth when you walk by and scan your badge. And the hologram would speak to you based on what the information. I can't remember who it was. It was in Atlanta.
I think it was GBI or Prism.
Yeah, Prism. And it was just, the way they're taking technology and using the badge as the source of that technology to help give the exhibitor a better presentation to the visitor walking by based on who the visitor is. That is starting to happen. I think the more that we see that type of technology coming out, that's going to be the attraction to the visitor in the future, and that's your intelligent badge you're speaking of. I think that's like they have at the College Football Hall of Fame.
Well, you have, I know Experience is working on this, and I'm sure the Compu Systems and others are as well. I just don't deal with them as much, but one thing that when I was on the advisory board, and I'm not on it anymore, so I don't know if they got to that point yet. But it's the personalization. I land at the airport, and yes, Atlanta's got the sign, welcome woodworkers, and that's great. But the moment I land, it's like, I open up that app and it should be hooking me up. Hey, you're checked in for your hotel, your car's waiting outside, the driver knows that you want a bottle of water, or a Coke, or whatever is comfortable. Driver knows what the music is you want to listen to in the car. I think that's the personalization and then you walk into your hotel room, the lights dimmed, or the hotel knows that this guy's a beer and wine guy, he doesn't get a whole cheese tray set up. It just gets a little bit more personalized. I think that's the way that'll change the people's experience, the more concierge, more VIP. Some of us get lucky and we get some of that treatment, but the attendee doesn't really see that treatment. I know, Charlie, I think you guys have, and I think Brian might have this, but I know you have this. You guys have don't you have like a charter members or these people have been there come to the show a long time, like a personalized concierge room where they can go hang out and watch.
This year we tried it out. Nate,
We had started out with the exhibitor, and this year was our members, had a VIP member lounge, just everybody coming in, coat check, country boarding pass to the airport, concierge center.
So it's like a Sky Club.
Yeah,
Do you think it was utilized enough?
I think it's first time around, it probably was about as expected. I think it takes a little while to catch on, but people know that it's there, know what they can do, organize this around, it's got to be visible stuff.
Ted, how long we set till 1:30? Okay. This one's going to fall a little bit, it goes in line a little bit with what I've asked Lee, but it's a little bit different question, so I'm going to kind of read it. Currently, emphasis is placed on the attendees' experience of the trade show. And obviously, that's important. We all need attendees, just like when we have our board meeting, Kevin Burr just kept saying, I want planners, I want planners, I want planners. Well, exhibitors want attendees, not necessarily more exhibitors. Moving forward, what will suppliers and organizers need to keep in mind regarding trade show setups and structures which will keep exhibitions and events as valued marketing opportunities?
I think they need to honestly keep in mind that I think like for an exhibitor can have an amazing show by ROI. They can go to a show and have greatest sales experience they've ever had, most customers they ever had before. But if the process for them at the event was not a smooth and easy process, their feelings on that show can still be dampened, and they can still hurt people for the show. So as we think about, and it's the same for the visitor's experience is the most important thing. So I think that the more we can combine processes and streamline processes to make the actions of the visitor, the actions of the exhibitor less complicated, less places they have to go to have to register, less things they have to do as attending the event, the better. And I think that's where we really need to focus. How do we bring the resources together to one place to limit their touch points so they can enjoy the show and focus on what they do instead of focusing on what we're asking them to. Charlie?
It's just a matter of keeping things as simple as possible. I mean, the one-stop shopping, the avoidance of lines, and also I think one of the things we need to look at down the road is assist them in matchmaking and getting them connected to the attendees. And there are products out there, but I haven't seen many shows, except maybe a hosted buyer show, that really does a good job matchmaking.
Yeah, I call that from face-to-face to one-to-one. And if you can do that, I mean, we're going to try to do that at IEEE in October. So that's a little bit of a supply by. Here's another question. How can event suppliers work with a meeting manager to create year-round communities rather than the episodic trade show? So we all try to do it to build online communities. And what is the definition of community? People think Facebook, Twitter. I think about it more as University of Iowa. You and I sort of Big Ten people. So we think about it, number one, Big Ten network, and then we go a little further down. I look at it, if we can work on that and develop the communities within our business sectors, that will benefit us. One of the biggest problems that trade shows face is the data. You only have so many people, our office is 6 people there, and we have one person who works offsite, so a total of 7 people. And we all have our day job, so there's not really necessarily the data person gets in play. We get offered a data processing project from our registration company, and it underperforms, and then we don't get the best use out of it. But I think it comes down to the app, and it comes down to how many times can you get your people together and constantly connecting. At the trade show, on-site, off-site, that's the most important items that you can do. But, the other thing that we don't utilize enough, and I was thinking about this, is we go forward, is, in IWS case, we have every 2-year trade show. And we're at a recent board meeting, and, some of the board members said, why aren't we doing this or this or this? And they haven't done it because nobody's necessarily authorizing it. When you look at your suppliers, meaning the Visitors Bureau, in our case, the Congress Center, GS, and so forth, I don't think that it utilizes the resources, nor do I think necessarily that the vendors come up and I know in some cases they are, but they come up to us and say, hey, you know what, you got 30,000 people coming to your show. It's every 2 years. Let's all get together and we're all partners. We want to make more money. Suppliers want to make more money. We'd like to have you have a second event in Atlanta or in Savannah or what have you. And if you're the decorating company, I'd like you to do another smaller thing, and maybe that smaller thing turns out to be bigger. That's a part where I think suppliers and planners are missing the mark. We don't share enough internal information with each other. We get caught in our box and our this is just the way we do it, and this is the way we're thinking. And it's a woodworking show. Well, woodworking is not necessarily woodworking. We also add cabinet closets. We are doors and windows. We're a lot more than that. So I think that, and you guys can add to this, but anyone else can. I think we underutilize our supply chain, our vendor chain, and I think if our vendors should feel comfortable enough that they come to us with ideas how to better use our data or how to better look at our event, and maybe things that we should be looking at doing it together. And part of the reason sometimes those show organizers don't add other shows or events or more community actions such as meetups. Like there's no reason why we can't do a meetup in Atlanta for cabinetry people. We just haven't done it. We've done a better show. But if the partners all get together and they think about it, and maybe you should have a yearly retreat or something. But if they get together, I think they find more opportunities for everyone to make more money and more success because they have more shared ideas. You guys, any thoughts on that? I know we utilize our vendors and sometimes we don't. I mean, Sussman will throw out 9 bad ideas and maybe I'll get a couple good ones out of it. But it generally works out.
I think, thinking of the question, it's, obviously our shows are where everybody comes together. The downtime between the shows is the issue. The one thing we have as a show, the one thing that we have that's so valuable to our exhibitors are the buyers, our data buyers, the people we bring to them. That's why they are our customers. That's why they come to our show and spend the money that they spend. It's because of what we bring to them. We have the vendor network and the partners to help produce the show, but how can we, look at the exhibitor base and give them more access to our data when the shows aren't taking place? Are there, everyone's talked in the past of webinars you could do and things that would be some type of online events and virtual showrooms and virtual trade shows. But how can you take that to the next level where you're actually keeping your exhibitor base involved, giving them access to the attendees of the show, but at different times of the year. So I think the webinars have always been something some certain industries look at. But to your point, having events that you can build with your supplier, your vendor base, that helps you come up with new ideas, new fresh ideas, to keep these exhibitors intrigued and interested, but also keeps fresh ideas to the visitors of why they need to stay involved and why they need to keep coming. Not just to the trade show, but by being associated with your show and being associated with this group, we also have access to this. I think we've got to come up as a group on what those things are.
Well, I was at a trade show. I was at Expo was, and this guy used to work for American Express Open. Now he's working for Amazon. He's continuing consultant for Amazon. And one of the first things he comes up, we're talking, and we know each other, but he's talking about how Amazon is looking at getting into the trade show space as far as they want to go offer all those products that you see at our show or your show or whoever's show and put them on their Amazon.com. And I've said this a few times, and Charlie's heard me say this, is you have a 2-day event or you have a 4-day event. It's either every year or it's every 2 years. Well, where are they going to buy the products, and where is the tool out there that's going to allow you to have that database and that system they can go buy online? Realize not every product they can buy online, but we're missing the bug because maybe we don't have the supply chain that's out there. We're missing the mark. I guess is the title, right? Because we don't have that, we're missing out on the opportunity because we're in this internet Google world that we live in. We should be wherever there's a transaction opportunity. We should be there facilitating, either online or face-to-face or whatever method. Is anybody that is out here that's a planner, or any of you currently have a directory or system where essentially that your attendees or your exhibitors can offer their products, and there can actually be a transaction happen within your online systems. No?
I'm sorry, I believe Underbox can do it. I think it's hard to understand what features of Underbox is to open, but for what I have seen is possible. I think it's not 100%, it could be easily possible. But for what I know from the database, it's possible.
I think, there has to be an indirect buy or a direct buy. It's like Amazon, you buy something there, you still get it from somebody else. But I think that's an opportunity that we're all kind of missing out on.
And you also to think about the importance of the events that take place after the event or outside of the event. I mean, think about going back to Super Show. And that was such a mammoth event. Everybody here remembers it. When Super Show started done, you had companies like Nike pulling out. Why? Because it was less expensive for them to fly their clients to their building to have their meeting there. They started having their own events because the Super Show itself was just too much. So you think about it from that aspect. If we don't come up with ways to keep them engaged and to keep them having new opportunities that are cost effective, they're going to start finding out ways to do it on their own because it's a whole year, 2 years, 3 years from show to show.
I was the same like Convex and other shows the way they agree and so forth.
Jim, you alluded to the fact of, I think most of us probably have exhibitor committees where we debrief after the show. But perhaps maybe what we need to do, and after talking yesterday, maybe as an organizer, we need to insist that our vendors come their day and brainstorm and do that. We're finding out that, and you don't have the problem that we do, but every one of our vendors is sending out a questionnaire to our exhibitors afterwards. The show sends one out, the venue sends one out, the general contractor does, and the like. Asking essentially the same information, we're duplicating our efforts.
Well, then instead of doing that, then it has to be like Nathan and I were talking about our exhibit survey, it has to be under one realm that I can still understand what, the vendors want to make sure that they're satisfying everybody as well. Let's open it up to any questions that anybody has, Sue?
Can I turn the table on missing the mark and click for the meeting planner? So we as a planner for our attendees and exhibitors, but we as a planner, and we're on site now, we can get, in our case this year, we'll get a Boston BCEC app, we'll get the Caterers app, we'll get PRG's app, we have Freeman's app. Is there a way so that we can not walk around with that notebook ourselves? Is there a way to combine all of our services? I guess that would be a wish list. I don't know if that's a way. Could there be a way that there would be some standardized app where all of the various vendor points, the electrical, the display center, everything under one roof, so we as planners could be more efficient in checking our room sets, our AVs,
It looks like David back here he thinks he has an answer to your question.
Well, this was a David Drew. This was an issue that you brought up earlier, that I got to log in there, oh heck, they can't take symbols on that one, that's got to be all caps, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the IT industry has been faced with that for a long time now. That area is called identity management. Universities use it, government use it, so if you're logging into different areas, you choose one identity management platform as an association, as an entity. Then you have all these different vendors become compliant with it. So you change username, password one place, and the people you do business with comply with that change, their change of applications and stuff. So it's kind of a nice thing, and as an association industry like this, it's a good platform in which you can go and choose which identity management platform you want to use. And you have everybody comply with it.
I think the hardest part of that is just getting the vendors to comply. Because the vendors all have their own systems, and that's what we face now. It's a wonderful idea. That's where we need to move. Go ahead, Jim.
Jack, I know Freeman, we tried to tackle this. This is an enormous, big undertaking. And five years ago, we tried to tackle this where we
had one portal, you could go in, do the electrical and all that. The issues come when you start collecting the money, okay, because
That's the problem.
that's the problem, because it's proprietary resources. Some organizations and vendors do not want to release that over to someone else. And it's just, we were able to successfully do it on some shows, and it proved to be very, very problematic.
And obviously,
So,
the venue doesn't want you to collect everybody's
well,
money.
either
You
does
don't
the
want that
force,
money.
and either does the guy that makes refrigerators.
Okay, do you see many people taking the PMI model where they're doing everything? Like for Pack Expo, they're their own contractor and their own like.
Not since PAC Expo, I haven't really seen that.
Well, like Dave Woodring, the Expo Dev Group, he's doing that. He's trying to bring everything in-house under their.
I'm sure there's a way to enact this and make it so I don't know that. It's just.
It's getting the principals to agree.
Exactly.
Like for exhibitors, we want single sign-on, but how about single sign-on?
Right.
I agree. I mean, to me, I want single sign on one thing. And the hardest thing for me anymore is even keeping track of all my passwords. Go ahead, Nate.
This was talked about, maybe this is an issue with the demographics of the attendees or the exhibitors, whatever, but there still seems to be a lot of resistance to give out email addresses, how it can be reached, and how, as show managers, can reach the attendees and send out enough information, not too much information for them to look at, and maybe some reluctance on Big Brother watching my every move when I go to a trade show. As it pertains to the scope of the discussion today, what are we missing part there? Is emails going to be leaving us? We just got to figure out.
I'll tell you, me personally, you have a better chance of getting a response from me in a quick way is by sending me a text. Cookie knows that from when she worked with the Visitors Bureau. Text me at 11 o'clock, I'll pop right back to you in a second. So, but email, I don't think it's down. It's just, right now, the email is more cluttered than my text. In my case, I don't know about you guys.
One thing about the email you have to think about is that, like with Nuremberg Mess in North America, we're an international company. You know, we have subsidiaries all over the world, sales networks all over the world. We not only sell into our shows, we sell into their shows. Email has legal issues in some places.
Sure.
So in Canada now, it's fairly recently, you now can't just email people in Canada. You have to be opt-in prior to that. In Germany, you're very, very strict with severe penalties if you email someone that didn't request your email. So when you think of that change in law, the difference of, especially for us who have international shows, that becomes a very big issue. So, you know, thinking of email and trying to streamline things, that's for the international shows and international audiences, that can become an issue.
So you're getting ready to shut us down? Deb has one last.
I just wondered, Jim, because that's your preferred way of communication, do you limit who has the availability to your number?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't.
Protective of it.
Like on my business card, I don't put my cell phone on there, and you know, it's even like when we pass the board sheet around, I go, oh, there's my cell phone. Well, it's okay, but because that way I know where I need to go. But I like this. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think when you're trying to, you know, reach the younger attendees, like I'm a college student, and I don't like giving out like my personal emails. I don't like giving out my student email because I get, you know, most of my information on there, like, and I don't want my email cluttered with a whole lot of, you know, just a whole lot of like junk email. So I think the easiest way to reach younger attendees is to, you know, go onto Twitter and go onto all those social media sites because we get like notifications and we check those notifications more than we check our email notifications. Like I don't check my email until I go home, and I don't go home until 9 o'clock. So if you're gonna
You're right. I have a staple of kids, and not one of them checks their email. They always say, well, tweet me.
Okay.
What's Twitter?
The email's kind of timely. Just by coincidence, yesterday I was working with CCLD, our internet provider. I received over 300 emails yesterday alone.
Ooh.
Wow.
Monday, over 300 emails.
All right, we need to cap
Go ahead.
one question.
Thank everybody. Thank you.
Break